Welcome to the Everyday Awesome Project, where we bring you inspirational stories and game changing strategies to live your most awesome life.
Hey, superstars, welcome back. Polly here. And Sam. What's up, beautiful humans?
Hey, we have a little interesting spin on today. Oftentimes we're suggesting, like, hey, you should try this. Hey, we learned about this. Hey, this is, add this awesome thing to your life, if you will. But we're going to do a little spin, and it's 5 things we stopped doing, right?
Exactly.
Bringing it.
Exactly.
Yeah, right?
It's things that we found that were not helpful for us in connection, direct connection to our health. So we stopped doing them.
Yeah.
And not the same things. You stopped doing different things than me. And we're like, hey, we should have a convo about that. Maybe someone else wants to consider in their life eliminating some things.
Yeah. Sometimes it's like additive, and then sometimes it's we need to reduce some things, right? We're putting things in our body, we're in environments we don't feel good around, whatever the toxin or the impact is on us that's not helping us thrive, right? And one of the things I just want to give a little I don't know, it's like the Surgeon General's warning or something. It's like the whatever you want to call this. Like, so Samantha and I are not,
Medical
doctors and
doctors.
scientists and stuff like that. It's like these are things, and some of these I can't even remember. I've been doing it for so long, I don't even remember the science, but I'm like, at the time, I was like, what the hell is that? I got to go find out what that is, and learned all this stuff. I'm like, not doing that anymore. But I'd have to dig really deep on all of these. We're going to do an episode here soon on things that we are doing and things that we'd love for you guys to look at for yourself. But today, just listen from the place of, wow, I wonder if that's
Curiosity.
yeah, yeah. So if you hear something, you're like, oh, I never even heard of that. Or, oh, I've heard people talk about that. I wonder if what that would look like for me. So,
And to be clear, we made these decisions and took these things away from our life because we did do the research. We didn't, like, someone told us it was the cool thing to do and we just ran around and the next day and did it. Like, we're very curious humans,
yeah.
and we also are very, fired up about continuously exploring
Mhm.
new science, new information. We do a lot of reading, we do a lot of research. So these are very informed decisions, but they're very personal
Mhm.
decisions. And how
Mhm.
I look at this, well, how I look at a lot of things, but is when you're taking on new behaviors, habits, patterns, or changing inputs, I see it as compound interest.
Mm.
Like, I make these changes and over time they stack.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
now I'm getting interest on my investment in myself. And in
Oof.
particular, we're talking about health today. So I'm investing in my health and I'm going to
Yeah.
get some returns, some interest, if you will. And then the reverse is taking things away that are not healthy, not working, are like those automatic auto drafts on your account that you barely know are happening, and they're
Yeah.
so annoying. They're the things that you subscribe to in the spur of a moment, or you spent money on things where it's like taking and depleting from that bank account, that health wealth,
Mm.
slowly chipping away pennies,
Mm.
sneaky, 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 and over time creating a big deficit
Mm. Mm.
in your
It's
health and well-being.
it's so funny that you went there because that's where my mind went as you started to say this. Like instantly I was like, so in business, when I've consulted with businesses, to have more profit, that's what you ideally want is profit your take home at the end of the day, right?
Mhm,
So
mhm.
two ways to do that, typically increase revenue, so you have more profit growth, or you cut expenses, right? And so what we're talking about today is we're finding ways to cut expenses, like how the expenses on your health, the expenses on your well-being, the expenses that are taxing your body or your thrivingness, something, they're eating away at your life expectancy or your joy factor, your movability, your happiness, something. So let's trim some fat, cut some things
Yeah,
out, right?
yeah. Stop the bleeding, stop the drain.
Yeah. So let's
Totally.
tell them the categories first so they know where we're going.
Sleep, environmental exposures, ooh,
Yes.
exercise or movement,
Yes.
community and connection,
Yes.
and then nutrition. Now,
Yes.
each of these we could talk about for days, but today is about us just sharing
Hmm.
what we have taken away in these areas or stopped doing that had a big impact, a big positive impact, and started to rebuild that compounding wealth.
Yeah. Yeah. So please listen through what we're sharing with you. For like, you don't have to do all of these. There's going to be probably more
Mhm.
than 20. I don't know. Between the two of us, we're going to have more than 20 or something. Maybe pick one, pick two, something that is like, oh, I could totally do that tomorrow. Or, oh, I should look into that. And I should, I want to look into that because I'm doing that. Or maybe, I heard something from Sam or Polly and like that could have a positive impact on my life. So, all right, let's start with sleep. And then it's like, wait, you're cutting sleep?
Oh, hell no.
Actually, no.
Hell no. And
Yeah.
sleep is number one for
Oh,
me right now, but it has been for several years. But so what I stopped doing was putting limits
mm,
as to how much sleep or rest I could get.
yes.
I
Yeah.
literally stopped putting on an alarm clock.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I leave my blinds half open and my window open because I like to sleep in a cool room, which has other health benefits, FYI.
Hmm.
And so when the sun starts coming up or it starts getting light, I wake up naturally as
Hmm.
part of my body's natural biorhythms. But of course, if I have to be somewhere really early and get up in the dark to make that happen or whatever, there is occasions I have to put an alarm clock in if I think that, that's
Hmm.
required, but it's very rare now.
Hmm.
And it's so fascinating over the last couple of years I've been doing this, but really especially during menopause, my sleep was so disrupted. But now that I really feel like I've gotten back on top of quality sleep, and I mean a lot of it. So I sleep
Hmm.
8.5 hours a night. Sometimes I could sleep 9 hours,
Hmm.
especially if I'm in a heavy training cycle. How much better I feel, but also I just feel liberated by this,
Mm. Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and
It's
how my
super.
body has started to self-regulate again.
Yeah. Yeah. And your body naturally has probably a wind down time, like it knows when it wants to go to sleep and you're allowing it to follow a natural circadian. And this is different for everyone. We can do muscle testing on people to see, what amount of level sleep you should get. And that's unique to each of us. There's bands, people say, what, 7 to 10 or something like that. So somewhere in there we all fall. But people that are living in the 5.5, 6.5 range, I'm pretty sure you want to look at
The
extending that.
science
Yeah,
the
tell
science
them.
about that. I mean, the
Yeah.
increase in mortality and disease rates for people that get six and a
Mm.
half hours of sleep versus 8.5. So I just read a recent study about those two buckets. That's a big difference, 6.5 versus 8.5. But I'm fascinated by brainwashing that happens during the
Mm.
nighttime, and brain health is one of the
Mhm.
things I'm currently hot and interested in. So brainwashing, your brain literally washes while you sleep. You're building muscle while you sleep.
Mm.
You're actually burning fat while you sleep.
Mm.
So there was a huge study, that comparison, 6.5 hours versus the 8.5 hours, and people who gained fat versus
Mm.
lost fat.
Mm. Wow.
And I mean, we're talking a 50% difference. And these are huge metrics. This is not like a 5 or a 10% difference in these groups. That kind of
Right.
stuff just blows my mind. And then, of course, building muscle, which I care deeply about, and then mood regulation. I can be freaking moody.
Yeah.
I mean, so I love that something is helping me stabilize my mood.
Hmm. And I know we live in a culture like the hustle and do so much, and the word busy. If we could just like have people pause on that word for the next 5 years, like there is no busy in the language. Oh my gosh. And we give ourselves permission to sleep as not as a luxury, but as a like staple in our life, right?
Mhm,
And
mhm.
I remember when I learned about what you're talking about and was like, are you kidding me? And talk about cutting expenses, like the expense of denying yourself sleep. And people who say, well, I don't get enough sleep during the week and then I catch up on the weekends. It's actually
Doesn't
not
work.
true. Doesn't work. Yeah, there's no catching up on,
Yeah,
right? So you feel more rested, but that's because you got what your body actually needed, right? So this denial of sleep is it's killing you, it's killing you
yeah,
faster,
yeah. And
right?
unfortunately, many of us were brought up that, if you slept a lot, you were lazy. In my house, that was the thing.
Mm.
We're growing kids and
Correct.
teenagers. And if we slept in and we're just, trying
Yeah.
to develop and our sleeps just were whatever, we
Yeah.
were lazy. I mean, this is part of society's labeling and ideas that are just completely
Mhm.
ludicrous. But it's
Industrial
so
era.
nice now to be like, and so the science says, and I'm a human and the science is about humans, so
Yeah.
I probably fit into that category. It's really, Yeah, imperative for me. What about you? What about
Well,
in the sleep
I just
category?
want to double click and say, just look into sleep and the benefit it is,
Yeah.
right? So like like Sam gave you some stats, and I hope that's enough to just like twinkle in your ear and go, wow, 50%, difference in fat loss and muscle building and mood and all that stuff. So for me, the things that it's hard to say cut out, but I would say ways that I look at it. So there was a great Andrew Huberman Lab did that podcast about ocular, right? And the
Mm.
impact of how much health our eyes have to do with our overall health. And so I'm wearing, you can't see in this episode, but I've got my blue blockers on, right? So screens or lights that, especially at night, I wear them as the sun goes down. I put my blue blockers on, right? They're a type of glasses that protects your eyes from whatever the hell, they'll give you the science. Just know there's things called blue blockers out there, and they can be very attractive. When they first came out, they were kind of hideous, but now they just look like glasses. Um, so blue blockers. And then the other thing is I definitely dim the lights in my house. If I could do candles in my house and get around, I probably would. Just I'm preparing the what do you call it? The circadian for,
Mhm.
sleep time and stuff. And if we leave lights, especially fluorescents or these new LEDs and all this fake light on, it has an impact on your health. Just look into it. Don't take my word for it, but look into it. And so dimmer lights and screens. Like I avoid the screens late into the, or, after sunset, if you will, and in the morning.
Again, there's so much science in these
So
areas, and we're
much.
just bringing this to the human listening's awareness
Yeah.
that these might be some of the things that they should consider if they care about their health,
Yeah.
which everybody does,
Yeah.
whether they pretend they don't or not. Really, they do.
And this is where we should insert also. So, you and I have come by these things. We didn't do all this last year.
No, or all at once.
All at once. Yeah. So, I just started wearing the blue blockers and cutting the lights out of my house in the last year and a half since I watched that Huberman episode. I was like, this is crazy how impactful this is. Oh my God, like I'm getting those damn things, right? I
Mhm,
didn't know that 15 years ago, whatever, when I did other things, right? So
mhm, exactly.
by all means, do not get overwhelmed by these ideas. Get inspiration. Get like, hey, these are some things. Maybe I could do that this right now, and I could buy a little pair of blue blocker glasses and whatever. So
Compounding interest. Start with one thing.
for sure, for sure. All right,
Next category.
that would be?
Dun, 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 environmental exposures.
Mm, mm,
I mean, I just had one big shift recently, and it was about microplastics. And it's not that I didn't know that plastic was a problem for the environment and for humans on some levels, but like to what degree, and in particular, what kind of pushed me over the edge to make significant changes in my daily routine around plastics was learning about the blood brain barrier, which I know about the gut brain axis and all of these things, but the blood brain barrier being so stuff comes into our gut, plastics come into our gut because we're consuming water, foods, etc. Plastic exposure is there, and then it's traveling through your blood system up into your brain. And since
mhm,
I'm really fascinated with brain health right now, and to learn that there's all this research and studies and science showing how much of these microplastics are floating around in
mhm,
your brain, and look at the significant rise we have in dementia, disease, all these, Alzheimer's, everything. It's through the freaking roof.
mhm.
There's a
Yeah,
direct correlation. And just
yeah.
the thought, I got a visual image of microplastics floating around in my brain was
Mhm.
like, too much, can't do it,
Yeah.
must stop.
So what do they suggest, or what have you at least taken on, or what's one way that you can get microplastics out? Do they have ideas for that? What did you hear?
Yeah, the reusable plastic bottles are probably the biggest culprit, but black plastics, anything that's made out of
Oh,
black plastic is the worst. I thought that was super fascinating.
oh,
And I went through my utensil drawer, for example, like spatulas and things, and I had a couple
oh,
black spatulas.
oh.
Reusable plastic or anything that you put in the microwave. Colored plastic and black plastic is the worst.
Mm,
But
mm,
so many of these plastics are just not meant to be heated, period.
mm. See, I didn't even know the black plastics. You're blown up.
So
Okay.
black and reheating or heating of the plastics. So anything that you're drinking, hot liquids, hot foods, I'm telling you. So
I
then I
want to.
went and did a little more research because I was like, What else? Cancer, also, by the way, it's a big driver of cancers. And specifically, it damages your DNA and your
Yeah.
cells and increases tumor growth.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I just want to double click on with the plastics, let's say. So I got rid of all of the to-go container kind of things, or like when you have leftovers. I replaced all of my leftover containers from plastic Ziplocs to all glass, right? So that's one of them. I don't reheat food, and if I have what do you call it, a TV dinner or frozen something,
Yeah,
I never
don't
heat
heat it in the plastic.
never heat anything that's going into your body if it has a plastic container, whatever, like get it out of that container, put it into a bowl,
Exactly.
glass, ceramic,
Glass.
something. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. So yeah, right on, right on. So
100%.
I'm
I mean,
gonna
it's a big gut microbiome disruptor. And then the other thing that I'm fascinated about and have been studying is the metabolism and specifically mitochondria. So, mitochondria is the energy cells of the human body. Literally, they generate energy for every single body function, including your brain. And the plastic damages the mitochondria. Here I
yeah,
am working hard to generate more and more robust mitochondria. So these working cells can build
yeah,
muscle and bone, and I can be healthier and I can fitness and whatever. And then at the same time, I'm basically doing this to them.
yeah,
You know, yeah.
yeah, yeah, right on. So environmental, I'm just gonna blow these out, but if you hear one that resonates for you, or you're like, oh, I didn't even know what that was, I would just say look into it, right? So I'm a big fan. I remember being my eyes opened many years ago when I went organic, right? So the food I put in my body is as much organic as possible. What I learned about all of that shenanigans. And then I was surprised going to a friend's house and like their hand soap and their shampoos and hand lotions and stuff were organic. I was like, why are they doing all this organic like on their body? And I was like, oh, for God's sake, like your body's one of your biggest organs. So,
Your
you know,
skin is the biggest organ of the body.
yeah.
Your skin.
So aside from, so what we're talking about in environmental, so it's like things that you can breathe in, right? So like, what are you inhaling? The thing, the environmental smells or things that you're around, things that you put on your skin. It's not going into your body like orally, but it's going in topically, right? Eyes, hair, shampoo, all that stuff. So things that I would lump into here, and you see these more and more. It's really great. You see these more and more on bottles. They say like no parabens, right? No SLS, sodium lauryl sulfate. Because I'm a huge animal lover, they're cutting down forests in, beautiful places where orangutans live for SLS, and you'd be surprised at where that is and what it does to the body, not only the planet. So just take SLS, perfumes and like added chemicals and dyes and scents, dryer sheets. Like, what do you need dryer sheets for? Especially detergents that have a lot of perfumes or dyes in them. So my detergents, my hand soaps, my lotions, my dishwashing detergents, I try to get free and clear. Like no extra smelly stuff because I don't know what all is in it. And then find good brands. If you have a brand that you believe in, right, like a Dr. Bromer's or Seventh Generation, or just when you can find a good brand, then you can buy like any of their stuff, right? It's like, oh, Seventh
Exactly.
Generation, I can buy their dish soap, I can buy their laundry detergent because I know what this company's doing, right? Febreze, air sprays, scented candly thing, just notice all those things are being absorbed in some way, right? Maybe you're not consuming it in your mouth, but you're absorbing it. So those are the ones I wanted to say for environmental.
Yeah. There's a lot there.
There's a lot there. Yeah, I try
And
to just,
again, you didn't overnight throw everything in your
no.
house out and move to a new house and like these are gradual,
Well,
progressive.
SLS I learned about, just 3 years ago, 4 years ago, when
There you
I,
go.
I get notifications about animal rights things, and they're like, save the chimps in Borneo or something. I'm like, what the hell? What's going on with the chimps in Borneo? I'm like, oh my God, these babies and the orangutans are just like, these mothers are starving and walking in just, fields that have just
Decimated
been
areas.
decimated. I'm like, what's going on? So I learned all about SLS, sodium lauryl sulfate, and I was like, unbelievable. And then I started looking at every back of the label, and SLS is even in brands that I thought, like Myers. I used to appreciate Myers. I was like, oh, I can get that at Target or whatever. And I was like, sodium lauryl sulfate. It's so obvious. It's so fast to see. It's the second
Mhm.
ingredient usually in a lot of products that you even can think of, but not that, you can have a lot of good things. It's like, oh, no parabens, no treated on animals or whatever, but then it's got SLS and it's like,
Mm.
okay, gotta, but I didn't know about that 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and learning
Mhm.
about parabens and other things that just, suppress female hormones and stuff like that. So,
Oh, hormonal disruption.
dude, yeah.
Don't we know it? All right, number 3,
Move-
exercise or movement.
Movement. Yes. Yeah. And it's hard to say, like, well, we stopped. What did we stop? You and I stopped moving? Wait a minute. What are we talking about here?
Nope.
No. What did you stop?
But I stopped focusing on zone 2, I would call it specifically, which is all the rage right now. And everybody's like, zone 2, zone 2. And I'm like, people, just you wait, that'll catch up to you. But I have an experience of many years of doing endurance and ultra endurance and watching my own body. I am the N of 1 experiment
Yeah.
called Sam Pruitt, What All's Going On.
Mhm.
And I know how my body composition has changed over the years, how my performance has changed, how I feel, all of
Mhm.
those things. And so for me, the last couple years, it's been a struggle because I still love endurance racing and events and training for those things, but finding a balance where I am not just doing all this long, slow distance,
Mhm.
because ultimately I do know, especially for the aging female and really male body, but I'll speak for myself, aging female body, that it is not the best for us. Yeah, great. I have great cardiovascular fitness, low heart rate, low blood pressure, low cholesterol, all the things. Great. But that's not the only health metric I care about or that
Yeah.
I feel people should care about.
Yeah.
I like being strong. I like having muscle. I like the quality of my connective tissue and my bones to be
Mm.
strong and
Mm.
resilient.
Mm.
And additionally, I like to have mobility in my body. So continuing to do that long, repetitive, slow zone 2 work ultimately is not good for me. And so now I do a variety of things. The more variety, the better. Higher intensity, lower intensity, etc.
I was gonna say, define zone two for us. What is zone
Yeah,
two?
zone 2 is that lower heart rate cardio that everybody just loves to do. So you get out there and basically you are able to walk or run or hike or whatever your sport is, ride your bike, have some conversation, but be a little bit breathy.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
you can do it for a very long time. It's
Hmm.
that sustainable cardiovascular fitness. The
Hmm.
person that does the spin class every day or the treadmill every day or whatever and they've been doing it for years.
Hmm.
It's
Yep.
And
Yeah.
when you're training for long distance or even, running races, and this,
Yeah.
you've got to put your time in, and that has to be something that's in your bank. But
Yeah.
it isn't the only thing that should be in your bank. It's like filling your bank account with pennies.
Mm.
Why the hell wouldn't I
Ah,
put quarters in there and dollars in there? Why wouldn't I put $100 bills in there if I could?
that's true.
Right?
That's a
Hmm.
good way of looking at it. Yeah. And I was just gonna say cardio on the treadmill. I gave up,
That's what you gave up.
yeah, cardio on the treadmill a long, long time ago. But
That's
I would agree,
amazing.
I think well, I also stopped running on streets, that pounding and pavement and stuff like that. Just anything that involves too much pounding, if you will, like that. Dirt is better. It's not great, but all that pounding on streets it's not good for the knees. Anybody that knows long distance runners on but anyway, so stopping that, and then I would say also like you said, yeah, the cardio for cardio's sake. Like,
Mhm,
I
mhm.
had high cardio in my 20s or 30s, and I was heavier and I would say less in shape than I am now, right? Like the
Well,
body
back to science.
body composition.
Back to science. Science, I'm thrilled to be part of the fact I'm still alive and science is happening in these areas and like leaps and bounds of information is being not only studied, invested in significantly and studied, but like shared, publicly shared.
Mhm.
Thank God for books and podcasts and all these things. But the science is there that we used to do it because we were like, get in the fat burning zone. You're burning fat. Woo, gonna burn more fat, gonna lose more weight. This is complete bullshit.
Right.
Seriously, we were sold the biggest pile of bullshit. Can you believe that? All those magazines were wrong, Polly.
They were wrong.
Fitness magazines.
Yeah. Yeah, we didn't know what we didn't know,
No,
and here we
exactly.
are, Jane Fondaing our way to, a big midriff or whatever, or just like not flab, but just like, yeah, it was fun. I mean, I enjoyed I can think of some of the, like, let's call it zone 2 classes I used to do, and I was like, oh, but
You can do those same classes. Believe
yeah,
me, you
yeah.
go to a group class, I go to a group class, we freaking do, we throw down in cardio. I mean, the shit is going. Today's workout was 7 minutes.
Oh,
Okay. Now we
wow.
lifted weights, we did all these other things before, but then the cardio part of the workout was 7 minutes. You're like, 7 minutes? We were
Whoa.
hanging on by our fingernails. Okay. We're hanging on by a thread to get this thing done.
Dang, dude.
And
Yeah.
it was so damn fun, by the way, but
Yeah.
it was balls to the wall. That is also cardio.
Hmm.
It's a different kind of cardio. That's all.
All
High
right. All right.
intensity.
We can go into the what we want to do. That's great. So let's stay with giving up the zone 2
Yeah.
as a predominant part of your workouts. Let's say that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next category.
Community and connection.
Again, we're into stopping community. Is that what we're saying? Is that what we're saying
We're anti-connection.
today? Anti-connection. Stop your connections.
You know what I stopped doing? You know what I stopped doing?
What's that?
Waiting to be invited.
Yes. Right?
Invited to show up or participate or speak up.
Mm.
I wait. I stopped doing that. Nobody needs to
Great.
invite me. I
Yeah.
show up, I do the thing, I try the new thing, I open my mouth, I say what I think, and I
Mm.
fully participate
Mm.
in life daily.
Mm.
And it feels damn good. Nobody needs
Mm.
to invite me to that party called life. It's
Yeah.
my life.
Well, it sounds like to create community, create connection, you had to stop or let go of waiting,
Mhm.
being silent, hoping that it just creates itself. It's like, oh, no, got it, so stop freaking waiting. Like, do
Mhm.
it, act on it, create it yourself, right?
Yeah,
Love,
totally.
love it.
Or
Love it.
co-create with friends or whatever, like
Mhm.
figure it out, but
And
get
how,
busy.
and so how is life different now? So like, what is the benefit you're seeing? Like your payoff, your return on investment. What do you experience out of that?
Well, I definitely, this whole thing, people get FOMO. What in the hell is that, by the way? If you want to do something, do it. Fear of missing out on what? Aren't you in charge of doing the thing? Like,
Mm,
get out and do the thing.
totally.
So that whole thing, it just fascinates me. But
Mm,
I mean, I also don't do things I don't want to do. So it isn't like I run around and have to be at all the things. I mean,
yeah.
I very much don't. But if I want to actively participate in whatever the heck the thing is, I show up to the thing.
Mm,
It's just that simple, I guess. I don't hold
yeah.
back.
Well, I like in there what you said too, and I'll kind of parlay that into mine. So you stop saying yes to things that don't feel good. Also, you're like, don't want to do this anymore. I want to do this, right? And so you stopped
I've
saying,
done that for a long time.
yeah, yeah. This isn't new. This is a good muscle for
The
you.
other
Good
thing is
muscle.
kind of a new thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So mine, I would say, is stop being in groups or circles or community or places where it didn't feel good. Like
Oh, yeah.
especially like I'm up for growth. Like that's just the trajectory of my life, expanding who I am, the consciousness that I am, the things that I'm up to. It's like, how can I be stopping or stepping out of stopping being in the circles or around the people that kind of feel like okay is okay. I'm like, I'm not okay
Mhm.
with okay. I'm up for extraordinary. I'm up for
The
remarkable.
settlers.
The settlers. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Girl, you
community.
ain't no settler.
Yeah, and
Hell
so
no.
and at times there is a lack of community as I am in between, right? But I
That's
would
interesting.
but I would rather be in between than in a connection or a community where I felt like I wasn't fully expressed. I wasn't fully alive. I wasn't growing with people and, a better human being around these people, if you will. So,
That's such a good one. That is such a good one because I can hear people saying in their mind, but if I don't go hang out with those people on Friday night, who will I hang out with? Well,
mm,
maybe yourself.
mm,
And also, if you don't make space for the new, there's no space for the new.
there you go. There you go. You never
That's
know.
good.
You never know what's around the next bend, right?
Hmm. That's
Cool.
good.
All right, what's
Last
our
one. Well, I mean, it's nutrition. And we really didn't want to talk about nutrition because there's so much. I just can't.
There's a lot we have stopped, a lot we could go into. So I have a
Well, my
longer
whole path
list.
started around nutrition. So for me, it's been
Yeah.
like it was the tipping point and then the catalyst for everything.
Yeah,
It's
indeed.
like the foundation for me in terms of me even knowing that health was a thing and I had some control over it.
The amount of things
It
you had to
all
stop.
started around nutrition. So there's like so many things. But what do you feel about with nutrition?
Well, and here's, and this is everybody's unique, right? And so, and
Mhm.
again, as we said, these aren't things that I stopped all of them at the same time, right?
Right, right.
It's been an evolution. I would say one of the first things, and you said, well, they all kind of fall under this. I was like, well, maybe, but as I got into the world of opening my eyes to organic food, right? I was like, oh, okay, organics, like stop pesticides. Let's just call it that. Like I stopped eating foods with pesticides and GMO and all that stuff. And then I just looked at, well, I'm a high quality being. I realized how food translates into energy in some ways, um, and I also believe that the way things are raised has an energetic transfer into us. So I would just say what stopped was I became resistant, or I just like eliminated low quality food. I just looked at food as if it was cheap and fast or what, it's just like fast and cheap. It was like, and it fell into low quality. I just was like, I can't be putting that in this body. I care too much for thriving and feeling good. Now, that's not to say I'm perfect. There's times I eat, I love a good French fry, stuff like that. But it's not, it's not a big portion of
But you'd
my.
probably eat a real potato
Mm, mm,
cooked
mhm,
appropriately and
mhm.
grown in the ground and all of that stuff. And I've seen you eat really high quality chocolate, like fancy ass chocolate, girl. I mean,
Yes.
if you're going to put
Yes.
so we're not judging food as good or bad. You're saying that my standard is to put high quality
Yeah.
in. I am a Maserati.
Yeah, like
Okay.
even as I look at restaurants, right? Like, so there's taco
Oh,
joints that
yeah.
I used to go to in my town. It's like, I love a
Mm,
good taco, right? I
mhm,
still love a good taco, but I look at how it's prepared or what they're, you can dissect the restaurant, like what level of quality you think they're buying their ingredients.
mm.
And that became a factor for me. I stopped allowing low quality food into my life. So that's one of them. How about you? You share one and I'll share.
Well, since this is about stop doing, whoo, I mean, over the course of this journey to health and well-being for myself, and I mean mental and physical, there were a lot of foods I had to eliminate because I have food allergies and I have an autoimmune disorder. But that aside, I would say, and everybody who possibly has some reactions to food should look into it.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
there's that kind of obvious thing of like if you put something in your mouth and then you notice you don't feel good,
Yeah.
or you get a rash, or you get bloating, or you get diarrhea, or there is a reaction.
Mm.
I just can't say enough how important it is to pay attention to that and
Mm.
then do your own personal N of one experiment figuring that piece out, right? But for me, around nutrition, I'd say the biggest thing I stopped doing is probably recently is more around like my relationship to food and less
Mm.
about a particular food.
Mhm.
So having less judgment around the food and
Mm.
less like, is it a good food or a bad food? Like putting it into a category and things of that nature. So it's more around like how my relationship to
Mm.
food has gotten, I'd say maybe more relaxed
Mm.
and
Mm.
less judgmental, less
Mm.
strict.
Yeah, restrictive it sounded like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it wasn't doing me any good to put
Yeah.
myself in. And I got a little extreme for a while, especially trying to counter all of these food allergies and figure stuff out and these health issues that I had. So you're kind of forced to do some restrictive things. But then, it started to get away from me, I would say. And then I
Mm.
would really be very judgmental about the quality of the food and all of these kind of things. And that wasn't serving me.
Mm.
So I
Ni-
stopped.
Nice. Nice. Right on.
Yeah.
And
If
it's
I
like for
want to
you.
eat an In-N-Out now, I mean, protein style, I go eat an In-N-Out. I
Mhm.
don't go, well, so that's just my relationship to
Yeah.
food and feeling different about how I do nutrition moving forward.
Yeah. I'll say one thing from this is from my work in hypnotherapy and coaching and mindset and stuff like that, is if you're going to eat something and you are telling yourself, I shouldn't eat that thing, it's not going to serve you. If you're going to eat
Exactly.
something, align with it and eat it and be like, my body can consume this. I'm okay, right? It's the disharmony, the disalignment, the
Mm.
eating it when you shouldn't, right?
I was making myself crazy in the grocery store. I was spending too much time in the grocery store debating what to buy and reading all the labels and walking around. I'm like, what in the hell is going on? And I was literally would put stuff in my cart and then take it out. I'm like, okay, stop. Too
Okay, stop.
much. Too much. And isn't that
The
fascinating?
standards got a little too extreme, it sounds like, or you just want to be
Yeah,
comfortable with,
mind chatter.
yeah, yeah.
Totally. Hmm.
Well, I think you had a couple. I'm going to just throw out a few that over the years. So that first one, low quality food, that was an evolution, I would say. Um, and some of the things that it's been a long time, but like soda, just knowing, especially diet soda, you guys, the chemicals that are in soda, not only these days, but many years ago, like your body just isn't good with it, especially diet soda. It's actually fat producing. So look into that for yourself, whatever. I'm not a pasta girl. Like, nah, it
Oh,
just,
I love me a good pasta.
I know, I know. I used to eat mac and cheese and all kinds of pastas, but I just looked at like, it just doesn't, I go, it just doesn't have enough nutrition for me. I do eat pasta. I'm not like I
Hmm. Hmm.
never do, but I definitely don't buy it. Because I tend towards, and some of these things are, let's say I avoid, I don't eliminate,
Yeah, yeah.
So for me, yeah, I am a hard stop with an animal, right? So I don't eat a cow, I don't eat a chicken. So there are a couple hard stops, but most things are I avoid. So
Hmm.
if I can't avoid it, then I will, but I avoid it if
Hmm.
so like gluten, like you said, you've definitely
Oh, yeah.
eliminate. Yeah, that's a hard stop for you. Mine is, working with my naturopath, and he's like, "Yeah, you should look at that gluten thing." And I was like, "I don't think I have, gluten thing." And yeah, like I feel so much better. Like just the lack of bloating and stuff like that. So gluten, and that includes soy sauce. So
Mm-hmm.
I get tamari instead of soy sauce because of the gluten. And then, so like, a couple of these are funny, like trail mix. I was so overeating trail. I went to a nutritionist one time and I was like, blah, 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 how do you feel? Just working on some things. And she's like, track your food, right? And so I, as a vegetarian, getting a lot of proteins like nuts and seeds and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I just eat these gobs and gobs of trail mix. And she's like, you might want to look at how much trail mix you're eating. And I was like,
You a squirrel?
oh, I hadn't really, I mean,
Squirrel.
so I still eat nuts and seeds and stuff, but I don't you know, do as much trail mix as a part of my diet anymore. And that was because I just felt so heavy in my gut too. Like it
Mm.
just, she's like, she just taught me about how nuts and things break down and how harder they are to digest and stuff like that. And so there's ways that you can work with that, sprouting your nuts and all sorts of things. But, and then I think, well, you have been for longer, but alcohol,
Mhm.
so I did 2 rounds of 75 hard, which is a great, it's like a 75 days of a program that has you cut out, stop things. And so it was no alcohol, no sugar, and, exercise, different things, whatever. So those 275 rounds, not in a row, but in one year, I did it twice. It just was like alcohol, it's not.
It's so interesting because I'm not totally alcohol free, and sometimes I do partake in a cocktail,
Yeah.
but almost inevitably, I do not like how I feel the next day, even one drink. And so if I'm in structured training, I'm very diligent about it because I got a lot of work to get up to the next day. And I
Mhm,
also have to recover from today,
mhm, mhm,
my
mhm,
workload, my physical
mhm,
workload, etc. Right. And then when I'm not training, I start to get more relaxed. And very quickly,
mhm.
I'm like, oh, I'm having a cocktail. And then I might have a couple this week or whatever. And I'm like That's so fascinating to me,
Yeah.
just as an observation without like judgment, but like, hey, that's interesting how easy that type of behavior,
Hmm.
we're just using alcohol as an example, but it can be anything, right? Can sort of get away from you if you don't have a sense of purpose around what am I putting in my mouth and what kind of results do I expect to get out of it?
Mm-hmm. And I would
Fascinating.
add to that too, the social expectations. Like it's socially like, okay, have a glass of wine at night and stuff like that. And so I just was lazy about it, just like, and on the daily, just like, oh, come home, relax, have a beer, glass of wine, whatever, And as I look back, I'm like, man, there were so many years of just kind of lazy, not alcoholic, but just
Yeah.
adding, and I look at it as a toxin. My skin, like I go to an esthetician and my acne. So I had, acne as an adult, young adult and through my 40s. And now if I drink, I will have a
Mm.
breakout. And it's
Oh,
like,
interesting.
because of the toxins, the body's
Mhm.
toxins. I'm like, wow, super apparent to me because your skin does, tells you how your body's
Tells
doing,
you
right?
everything.
So number one, so the toxicity, I was like, damn. And then number two is, oh my God, my Fitbit does not lie about sleep. Like you said, I thought, oh, if I was drinking on the weekend, yeah, okay, my sleep would be dysregulated. But like you said, like, oh, I'll have one, cocktail or something in the night, even if it's earlier. Sleep is always jacked.
Mhm.
Oh, and I was like, whoa, especially as what you and I were going through the menopausal. So I was doing that and then experimenting with, I was having low protein at night, falling
Mhm.
into hot flashes also caused by glycemic
Mhm.
drops, and then adding alcohol. I was like, what the hell's going on? So eliminating for 75 days and then doing it for the second, like I broke the habit. I just broke the relationship I had with it
Yeah.
completely. It was like, and now do I want to add it back in? And what does that look like? And why would I? And as I did it a little bit, seeing the breakouts, acne on my skin, dysregulation in my sleep, which is such a priority to me. And we haven't gone enough into the science of the importance of sleep, but knowing all of those reasons why, it's like you're just carving off, time of your life. And I was like,
You know
yeah.
what's so interesting? The way we're talking about these things, so we're talking about stopping them. It's like, and especially as we're talking about alcohol, it's like breaking up with a bad boyfriend, right?
Yeah.
So, oh, I know this, or girlfriend or partner, whatever. I know this relationship isn't good for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not horrible. I'm settling,
Yeah. Yeah. It should
but
go,
it's not really
but
good for me. But, right. And then when you break up with said individual, you're like, okay, there is this discomfort,
yeah.
right, of the
Yeah.
breakup that we
Yeah.
all go through, that emotional
Mm-hmm.
birth
Mm-hmm.
transition. And then
Mm-hmm.
we come out the other side and we're like, what in the hell were we thinking dating? What in the, who is it? What? We're kind of shocked,
Yeah.
right, at how we got into these. And all of these things we're talking about, all of these things are
Mm.
just kind of, is it good enough
Kind of
for us
limping
to
along,
continue?
settling. Yeah.
Exactly.
But
Settling.
one last one I want to just throw in here, and this is for everybody, because I've been on for the last 3 or 4 years a super gut health, kick and doing a lot of stuff in that world. And I just want to throw out there preservatives, preservatives, preservatives. So so that's how I judge my trips around the grocery store is, things with I think as few shelf life, like shelf life, forget it, like shelf life is killing your gut. So it's the antithesis of a healthy gut is things that preserve the food are beating up your gut. So just look into preservatives if that's something that you care about or want to know more about. I was like, holy F, okay, good, good to know, good to know. So, and I hope that in the spirit of all this, I love how you said towards the end, it's like breaking up with a boyfriend that you knew you should have broken up with or the whatever, because it's
Pick
like,
one thing.
these things should go. And it's liberating. It's not
Mhm.
like, oh, I stopped doing that and I miss it and oh, my life is worse. It's like, no, you'll feel better, right? It's things that will improve the quality of your life. Yeah.
Totally. Totally.
So what's our one thing? What's our one thing today?
I mean, that kind of is it. Landing the plane there is like literally, are you settling? Is
Mm,
there something, pick anything that we talked about today, or pick something that we didn't
yeah.
talk about
Yeah.
that you know has been on your radar that you need to break up with.
Mm,
Okay. The Dear John letter is coming, right?
Mhm.
Like, because you know it. We all know ourselves. We do
Mhm.
know ourselves, no matter how much in denial we might be at moments. We truly have awareness about ourselves. And if something is no longer working, it's time to say
Yeah.
goodbye.
And I want to invite anybody listening to this, please. We are so open. Like Samantha and I are constantly consuming information and knowledge and listening to things, but there's things that aren't on our radar.
Send it our way.
What could be on our radar that you've stopped that you're like, Samantha, you
It's
didn't
got to be
mention.
science based, though. Don't give us some harebrained, crazy idea, okay? Because we grew up in that era where you read those trashy magazines and the news every
Mm,
10 minutes. It was a new
not a
news story.
trend. Yeah, yeah,
We're
yeah.
not talking about that.
Yeah.
Real science here, people.
Yeah.
Bring it. Bring
Improving
it.
longevity, improving happiness, mindset, mood, any of that stuff. Fitness, mobility, So let us know what you found that you stopped or you added or whatever. Like we're totally open. So we'd love to have, collaboration on this because we're open. We want to hear more.
Oh, yeah. We want to keep evolving.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Mm,
All right. What do we
thanks,
want to
lady.
remind them as we wrap up today?
Well, I'll reverse what I normally say. Like, how your life looks is not that damn important, but how you feel is.
Everything, right?
100%.
And every day is your opportunity to find your awesome.
Boom.